Oliver and I have been dating for 7 years. We met before the new year and celebrated by going out for drinks. Oliver's wife wished to build her own house. They found an excellent site and contacted experienced builders and craftsmen. They saved money for a while and eventually borrowed more. They continued to live in a rented flat in the city. Eleanor had her own ideas for their dream house, but her husband refused to compromise. Despite her complaints, he remained firm in his principles and refused to apologize. The emotional roller coaster of the construction project was finally coming to an end. Oliver's former Army buddy Hunter was also present. Hunter had previously lived in a different city, but had come to visit. Oliver introduced Hunter to his wife, who was eager to meet him. Hunter informed her that he had recently split up with his wife and was on vacation to recharge. Oliver believed it was an uncommon circumstance. Oliver invited Hunter to a housewarming party, where he received compliments from Hunter and offered to attend with his unmarried friends. Oliver's wife looked at Hunter for a few moments, but her husband didn't notice. On the day of the party, the group's friends and acquaintances from their shared circles came to the party. About 12 people arrived at their new house, including workers and others. We were surprised to see Hunter there, as he'd asked to leave early. She spent the morning in the kitchen preparing food for the party. She asked her husband to help, but he only managed to set up a table, a horn, and a brazier in the yard. He said he needed to rest before the party, so he went to bed. His wife was left with a mountain of chores. Understandably, she felt neglected and disheartened by her spouse's lack of attention and helpfulness. Just in the nick of time, Hunter made his entrance. He helped the woman arrange everything and even took charge of some of the tasks at hand. With a bit of spare time before the rest of the guests arrived, the two of them settled in the kitchen and, engaged in heartfelt conversation, he gazed at her with admiration, showering her with compliments about her thrifty nature, striking beauty, and amiable disposition, causing her cheeks to flush with delight. He complimented her on her thrifty nature, striking beauty, and amiable disposition, which made her cheeks flush with delight. This attention thrilled her particularly, since she knew not to expect such words from her husband, who often took everything for granted. When the remaining guests showed up, they all gathered in the yard around a big table where friends chatted and congratulated the couple on their lovely new home. Once everyone had a drink in hand and got to know each other, Hunter started. The newcomer made quite an impression. He suddenly became the life of the party, with the wife gazing at him dreamily and subconsciously comparing him to her husband. Unfortunately, she wasn't comparing him to the latter's advantage. The celebration was in full swing, with everyone tipsy from the drinks, music blaring, and guests conversing loudly. They occasionally nibbled on the leftover snacks. The host noticed the food was running low. Even though the party was far from over, he decided to fire up the grill to prepare. Oliver asked his buddy to fetch him something from the home, but she did not respond. He searched for her among the visitors, but could not locate her. After a couple of acquaintances reported that she had gone inside, he searched for her and discovered her on the first floor, which was quiet, maybe because she had already gone to bed. Oliver walked to the second story carefully, trying not to disturb his wife. As he approached their bedroom, he heard something behind the door and opened it. He was astonished to see his buddy. Hunter and Oliver were in a compromising position on their own bed, both heavily intoxicated. Oliver became angry and began hitting Hunter, while his wife screamed in the background. Despite their efforts, Oliver struggled to regain his composure. Hunter fled the ruin, celebratory. Meanwhile, the husband remained behind in their once happy home. His anger and fury had now cooled down. He sank into the sofa, unable to understand what had happened. His mind was racing, looking for clues in his wife's and friends' behavior. He soon found himself blaming his own inattentiveness. How could he have been so blind, putting his trust in them both? Oliver decided to file for divorce. He realized that he could no longer live in the house, which now served as a constant reminder of what had gone wrong. That evening, their home was sold, and the proceeds divided. As people who knew them both well began to talk, Oliver found himself the recipient of much sympathy and support in their eyes. Betrayal was one of the most unforgivable acts that could be inflicted upon a person who loved another so deeply, although the wife attempted to justify her actions by pointing to the escalating arguments between her and her husband and their friends didn't buy this explanation. They thought it was insufficient. And lacking credibility, the lady was alone and estranged from her spouse, with no close friends to lean on. Rekindling her relationship with Hunter was out of the question, as he had come over to escape his troubles briefly. He returned to his hometown without much fuss, but not before stopping at the trauma center.